back one more time here at the Rainbow Six North American League Analyst Desk to get ready for our final match of the day. Your host, Doe, here, along with Caliber Jacob, Jesse J. Chick, and our special guest, Super, the GM of the Sonics organization. And we got Mirage versus Spacestation Gaming, and I'm not saying this wrong when I say Mirage is ahead in the standings over Spacestation Gaming. That's right. 2 wins in regulation, just 1 loss for Mirage. Meanwhile, Spacestation, 2 wins for them as well. One of them, though, in overtime. So, Mirage with the upper hand coming into this one, and they have looked hot lately.
Yeah, potentially the favorites. Back-to-back wins coming in from Playdays number 2 and 3. Of course, they've only played 1 map thus far this stage.
True.
Presumably, just like what we said with Parabellum, that will change up today, and we'll see things go to a new map, and we'll see how Mirage look on a different battlefield. But so far, you can't help but be very proud of this team. Obviously, bottom of the league throughout the first 2 stages, but now looking better than ever.
We had an inkling that this Mirage squad was already going to get an upgrade with the 2 guys that they were bringing into the team, but we didn't think it was going to be second best out of the 4 teams that actually brought 2 rookies into this season. Obviously, TSM are sitting at number 1 because they're at the top of the leaderboards at the moment, but right now it's Mirage, then it's Parabellum, and then obviously Beast Coast at the bottom, but Mirage is still at middle of the pack with potential to still end this week in the top 4 if this game against SSG goes well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they could end the end of week 2 with 3 wins, which is huge. I mean, I believe that's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's more wins than they've got any other stage this year so far.
Combined in one?
That definitely seems right.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, exactly. But the rise has been pretty meteoric, hasn't it, Super, for this Mirage squad? I mean, the new additions coming in, working great. Benji Mula is on fire. We saw Kento get MVP yesterday. What do you think of this squad now?
Yeah, I think everybody, at least I know pro community-wise, thought that they upgraded their team in terms of talent.
Totally.
But, you know, the surprise to me is like Benji right now, he's got a 1.2 rating. He's plus 11. You know, no player on Mirage right now is negative at all. They are all performing statistically. They just look really solid, and kind of what Dexter mentioned yesterday, more of like going the X-set style of it's like a friendship team, people are playing, having fun. And maybe that's all been needed all along, because this is the best we've ever seen him play. He's literally one of the best players in the league right now statistically. And if he can keep this up, then Mirage in like a major contention is a reality, as surprising as that is to say.
Yeah.
Benji Mula's having a fantastic time. I think another person who's really stepped up his game this stage so far has been Melted. You know, he's a guy that I think last stage people did criticize a lot, and we talked about how he did start off with COVID, right? He had to play from home. He played, you know, in some pretty tough circumstances. Obviously, had to miss a couple games as well. But he has been so good coming back into the stage. The number I want to highlight here, cost 81%. Wow. Top of the league right now, and he's doing it on Zofia and Oryx as his primary operators to come through. Usually top costs are like hard support players who survive a lot of rounds, right? When they're not surviving, they're at least getting like a kill or getting the plant down. He's doing it on some very aggressive roles, and so from him to go to the 3rd worst non-coach player last stage, non-substitute player when it comes to cost, to now top of the league has been fantastic from him. Really loving the improvements that we've seen from him, and it's nice that, right, the team's believing in him after having such a rough stage, and the org is believing in him, and he's been able to actually provide those results and bounce back.
Yeah, you know, when I was chatting with him in Vegas a couple weeks ago, he was saying that one of the things he was really disappointed about was that he felt like he wasn't really able to play at his best, especially in stage number 2 with being sick for a long time. You know, he was saying again, like, I was playing some games I probably should have been playing, I should have been resting, I should have been recovering. And so he really was very motivated to come into stage 3 and kind of show a much better performance, and we've seen that so far, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, the talent's always been there with somebody like him, and I do question how much of this comes down to Nick's not being an active player on the team and moving back into a coach position. It still feels like a lot of the things that Mirage were strong on exist in this stage, because if there was anything we could call them decent at in stages past, it was their defensive rating, and it's only continued to get better with how explosive they've opted to play it. They've met very aggressive teams midway. Melted's been one of the guys who's been doing that, and I wonder how much of it is, yes, he's playing and he's not sick, but he's also having more confidence of 2 new guys and what seems to be an extension of an existing system with new blood, all at the exact same time, and I'm wondering how much of that really all factors in to give Melted like this big confidence boost he's got so far.
Yeah, I'm sure it all adds up for sure. They're going to need it, because on the other side of the arena are Spacestation Gaming, a team that did make a little change between stage 2 and stage 3.
Little?
Little, well, I mean, it's okay. It's a pretty big change. They dropped Skies, they
That's the
picked up
biggest guy in the
Yeti.
league.
That's true. In terms of, muscles, it's definitely the biggest move in the league for sure because they got Yeti coming in, right? And he's made a big difference. They said they wanted to change things up vibe-wise. They said they wanted a more kind of positive personality for the team overall. Yeti absolutely brings that. But
Definition
you know what?
of it.
They're also getting some results out of this too.
It's been good to see Spacestation, at least having a little bit of success. Of course, 2 wins so far with their start of the stage. I really do think that this roster move has worked out well for them. People were kind of like critical of it to start things off, right? I mean, Yeti coming into this roster, people didn't really know if it was going to be a big upgrade over Skies, but I think the roles that he's been able to fit in with, the way that he's been able to make the rest of the team kind of play roles that they're a little bit more comfortable with has been fantastic. I think when you talk about players on this team that have been kind of pop-off players, everybody on the desk's favorite player, I think Bosco has been a great standout performer for them so far. I thought that even back last week, he was doing a good job kind of wasting some time. And then yesterday, of course, crushed Asian's dreams, going 11-4, MVP of that match that we saw from him play. So, yeah, nice to see some of the other players on this team as well kind of stepping up with this roster move. Feels like they're all feeling very comfortable.
Yeah, I'd say the only real damper on this party might just be that Rampy is bottom rated on the team currently, but I would call that probably not the biggest concern ever because Yeti is highest rated. Hot and Cold and Fultz are still putting up numbers that are very close to 30 kills apiece, and even Bosco had a phenomenal game on Border when they crushed Parabellum's hopes of a 3-game win streak on that map. So the fact that Rampy on a vertical position isn't able to be nearly as fluid or as powerful firepower-wise as he might typically be, I still think SSG are doing a phenomenal job of fitting the roles into everyone's collective strengths. We knew Fultz on entry was going to be the thing that he was best at. We knew Hot and Cold, Flex Frag was the way. We knew Yeti was best on flank. And even though Flank Watch is beginning to fade into the ether, so to speak, in terms of flex roles in North America especially, it's good to still see it working. Even though people had criticized the Yeti move before this stage started, I still thought this was the best thing they possibly could have done for this team.
Yeah, interesting thing to note, kind of how I mentioned on Mirage, nobody on their team is negative. On SSG, only Hot and Cold is positive. But it doesn't seem to matter because they still seem to be playing better as more of like a team effort. And yeah, you go look at Skies, and like you said, a lot of people maybe said, well, we don't really understand bringing in Yeti for Skies. Skies is technically a much better statistical performer. Well, guess what? This is Rainbow Six Siege. Your individual statistics don't matter as much as your team play, how you're, working with the team. And it seems like for whatever reason, Xander is definitely working with SSG better than Skies seem to be.
Absolutely, yeah. So the stats sometimes don't reflect what a player brings to a team. And I feel like you're speaking from experience a little bit on that one there.
I was a great statistical player, as everybody knows.
Of course. Well, I mean, Space Station Gaming, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see because I do feel they are going to need to dig deep a little bit to win this one, but the bans are in, so let's see what map we're going to.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a way SSG allow Theme Park Part 4 for Mirage. We didn't see that when Parabellum tried to almost had Border 4 times in a row. But in this case, I do think Mirage have 2 maps that SSG themselves are practically permabans in both Theme Park and Villa, so I expect both of them to be gone here. There is the Theme Park ban, and the Villa one was already taken off the board earlier. So these last 3, I think, are definitely surprising considering Chalet is still on the board and Mirage have never played it before.
Yeah, Cafe, Chalet, Skyscraper. Presumably Skyscraper going to be a pretty quick ban from Space Station, and then Mirage have to choose between 2 maps that they genuinely do not play. Cafe, I think 1 play ever, and if you go back and look at that series, it didn't look like they were expecting to play on that map. So we'll see what the actual order is through here. It is the Sky ban into Cafe, and there is Chalet, as you said it. This is a map that Mirage, as an organization, since joining Rainbow Six back in 2020 in the Canada Division, have never won ever. Technically a 4-game losing streak because they lost it 4 times last year under a completely different roster, but even then the org never winning it at all. SSG actually also on a 4-game losing streak. That goes back to SI, but they've at least won it in their history, so that's something.
They've played it twice this year with a roster that, at the very least, is 4/5 what it currently is.
Yeah.
Whereas Mirage on this map,
Just Benji.
Complete mystery. It's just Benji, come on.
We know what Benji looks like on this map.
True, from the days when he played with Flynn and Zilchi, like way back in the day.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, the past returns. We'll see who finally gets the win on Chalet, but we got to find out what our predictions are going into this final match of the week. First, Pengu and Intero have something to say to us prediction-wise. How tough is this one to call, really?
Today's been hard in general.
Yeah, I think this one is a pretty tough one to call, to be frank.
I would almost go as far as to say that this might be a potential best game of the day.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because Mirage SSG. which stage 1 and stage 2, that would be unheard of.
Well, to be fair, we haven't had a lot of good games today. They've all been absolute blowouts. They've been good games. I mean,
Well,
like in terms of like
We haven't
competitive.
had good games.
one go to
They haven't been
overtime.
competitive.
Okay.
They haven't been as competitive as they could.
Whew.
We've seen a lot of lopsided matchups. When I say good, I mean like, is this going to go the bitter distance?
It's hard to please Intero. I think that's what we're
Yeah.
getting.
The closest match that we saw was that, what was it, the Astralis
East Coast
Beast
Astralis,
and
yeah.
that, I would not classify that as a good match.
He's a
Well, as
siege
far as
elitist.
this one goes, who's
I think
going
we
to
should
take
pick a
it?
team each.
I honestly, like, I mean, I want to go with Mirage,
Okay.
but I'll go with Spacestation because
Okay, okay.
you want to go with Mirage.
Okay.
I'll be nice. I will bequeath to you.
I'm kind of on the Mirage hype train right now because I like what they're doing. Obviously, I feel like SSG have been ramping up Playday by Playday, and I feel like they're gonna be. I want to say OT,
Okay.
but I'm gonna go Mirage. You're gonna go SSG.
Yeah, I'm going to say SSG.
Okay.
All right, there you go. 1-1. They just can't agree, apparently. They have to pick different things. It's pretty common, I've noticed. You know, aside from when they're picking wrong like last one. But anyway, we'll move on. We'll catch up with the two of you when the map begins. Now we'll send it over to our analysts. So we got 1-1 so far. Jesse, what's it going to be?
Listen, I'm thinking that both these teams are kind of playing maps that they haven't really shown a lot. SSG a couple of plays this year, but really I feel like this is kind of a new showing for both these squads. And when I think back to this stage so far, SSG, they kind of showed off Skyscraper initially as a new map for them. Didn't really go their way. When you take a look at Mirage, though, they do seem to be kind of revamping things. I've been talking about Mohesi and how he's been able to revamp a lot of their strats. So for a new map, I'm thinking excited for a Mirage. Let's see how they do here with their new strats on a map that they have not played in a full year.
All right, confidence in Mirage, Super. Do you share in that confidence?
I'm actually interested to see what Mirage do here because, like Jesse said, this is just a map that they have not played the entire year.
Right.
But I do know that Yeti is on Space Station, and Yeti comes from the Sonic School of Chalet. So I feel like he's probably helped them out a little bit in maybe some of the areas he thought they were lacking on this map. And so, strictly because of Yeti's presence on SSG, I shall pick SSG.
All right, so if SSG wins, it's kind of a win for you, too, huh?
They're like, we like to spread our players around. Eventually, everyone will be part of the Sonics.
I see, yes. And then you shall be
dear.
Emperor of North America. There you go. Don't look at me. Look at Jacob. He's got to pick next.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I still have a pick left. Yeah, bring it here. No, I also think SSG. I think part of it is the recency bias of knowing they've tried Chalet a couple of times this year, even if it didn't work. And I do think it's not Yeti's presence. It's just going to be Yeti on their own because when he did that for the Sonics, it was dynamic. It felt like it was absolutely unexpected. What, you played Dark Zero on and then slammed him because Yeti was in spots where they didn't expect
We
him
beat
to be?
TSM with our coach playing on that.
That
map.
was the other one.
Is
That's true.
That did happen.
So I'll stick the SSG pick here. I am intrigued by Mirage finally adding this map to their tally this year, but I think it's going to be more of an exploration and discovery game. For SSG, this probably can duplicate some of the behavior that they had from their border win yesterday, just because the maps have a slightly similar play style. But yeah, I'll give it to the Astronauts.
I'm excited about this this spread, okay? This is the start of my
Yeah.
comeback. Pengu's my ride or die. Let's get this percentage up. It's good.
All right. I mean,
good.
I think it's important to note too that if Super is correct, he's going to have like the highest percentage correct of any guess we've had.
That's not surprising,
Pretty
honestly.
sure.
I'll say he isn't competing with us. He's competing against Joe and Tommy when they were here last day.
That's true. Let's see what the
It's not a
coin
competition,
says.
really.
Ooh. You hear that, Joe? Mirage will be heads. Space Station will be tails. Oh, it's tails. Space Station Gaming is the choice of the 1884 silver dollar. There you go.
But
It's,
the
it's
fan
still
vote's
okay.
most intriguing to me. Like, what do the public
Yeah.
think?
What do
Probably
the
has
fans say? You know, are the fans going to get behind Mirage? 63% say SSG, actually. All right.
Makes sense.
Only Pengu and Jesse going for Mirage. Now, we did have a 5-2 split last time as well that went in the favor of the two. We'll see what happens this time around. Will it be Mirage? Will it be Space Station Gaming? Let's check our fan vote for now, our fan poll, to see what the question is going to be for our final match of Week 2 of Stage 3. Who will win more engagements, Dexter or Yeti?
Hey, Dexter. I don't know.
Who's going to have a higher KD?
Depends on your definition of engagement. That's what I would say.
I think Yeti. Yeti runs Chalet. They're playing
In-game?
Chalet. This is a old Sonic staple. Yeti comes from the Sonics. Yeti clears.
All right, Yeti confidence from Super. We'll see what the fans have to say later. Until then, quick break, and when we come back, the final map begins. Mirage versus Space Station. Who takes it? Find out right after this.
Space Station, and these teams are in spots that you wouldn't necessarily think them to be in after 2 stages of Mirage being at the very bottom of North America. They're actually in a major spot right now. Shocking.
Yeah, shocking indeed, but they deserved it. They've earned it. And wow, Mirage they actually could make the major. Yeah.
They absolutely could. Adding both Mohesi and Dexter to the already existing squad of Benji and Melted, and then even Kento, who himself is a relatively new addition to the team, seemingly giving them new life. Give them new lifeblood, if you want to say that. Space Station made a change of their own after Skies announced that he was retiring and stepping back from the team. Yeti was brought over from the Sonics, but then
Skies retired? I thought he was playing today.
As an emergency sub, he went to Dark Zero and has been playing quite well. And I do find it amazing that with how much history both Canadian and Skies have, they have never teamed together. And there was, you know what, I'm not going to say that. You gotta clip this, because this is the only time in my life that I'm ever going to say this.
Okay.
I saw something funny on Reddit today.
Okay.
Okay. And what I saw was somebody was like, Skies and Canadian dropping 20 kills combined with a combined age of 85. And I was like, that is absolutely correct. Yeah, they are both in their 40s, and yet they still are leading the way for Dark Zero. Either way,
oh my God.
The roster moves that were made by both Mirage and Space Station have seemingly rejuvenated these squads. At the top of your screen, what you see as the standings is a bit misleading, because yes, both teams are technically 2-1, but Space Station is actually 1-1 and 0-1, whereas Mirage is 2-0-0-1, which means that Mirage has won both of their matches in regulation, and therefore sit at 6 points. Space Station sit at 5 points, so they're a little bit farther behind, but either way, they can shoot up the ladder and actually be tied with Dark Zero, depending on what happens in this matchup. There's a game crash, by the way. It looks like it might be Rampy's. So
I think it was Rampy yesterday as well, actually.
Was it?
I think it was.
That son of a gun.
Son of a gun for sure.
For those that are wondering what's going on with the standings, Space Station is in 8th place, but they have 5 points. If they pick up a single point, they would actually jump up to a tie in 4th place. If they win the match, then they jump up to be tied with 3rd. It is a precipitous decline from Space Station to OXG in 9th place. Both OXG and Beast Coast sit at the bottom with 1 point apiece. So Space Station is an 8th, but they are a full win over OXG and Beast Coast.
Yeah. And I mean, it also comes down to not just who's played how well in the first 3 or 4 playdays. It really comes down to who's improving the most over the duration of the stage, right? Because OXG in theory could still win every single game in regulation and get 16 points towards the end of the season. And then if certain teams, they lose their games, they could still technically make top 4. It's just that we look at the, likeliness of that actually happening. There is almost no way that OXG will go from losing every single game to winning every single game between 1 week and another. But I will say SSG, they looked quite weak in the beginning. They looked better and better and better. Whereas Mirage, they kind of came out hot out the gates, I would say, compared to the previous roster lineup. And they've just kind of continued up that trend. So both teams are doing quite well for themselves, all things considered. Because SSG has not been the same team as we know them when they won Invitationals a while back in Stage 1 and Stage 2 of the NAL.
The other thing that's on the line with these matchups, and in particular the standings in the North American League, is not only do you want to make it to a major, but additionally, the SI points that come with it. Now, right now, because of the way that the SI points have worked and because of the volume of games that North America have played, Xset, Dark Zero, Astralis, and OXG sit 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the global standings at the moment.
Yeah.
Yes, the OXG that you have seen playing so far this stage is currently in 4th. They will obviously have to fix some things with how they've played as of late when they go to SI. And the likelihood that Xset, Dark Zero, Astralis, and OXG qualify for the 6th Invitational is virtually guaranteed. Even if they finish dead last in North America, which only one of those 4 teams can do,
True.
They are still guaranteed a 99.9% chance of making it to the 6th Invitational. Fighting for the remainder of these spots, the Sonics are on the outside looking in. They have a very high likelihood of making it. If they have a strong finish in this stage, they should accrue enough points to finish in the top 16 globally. What about the former world champions from a couple years back in Space Station? Well, Not such a good odd. They currently sit tied in 32nd overall and are miles away from making it. Is it possible that they make it just based on points alone? Yeah, of course. I mean, they have better odds than TSM and almost all the rest of the NAL that aren't here. If SSG make it to the major and place well in the major, suddenly they're in an excellent spot to make it to SI, but again, would rely on other teams performing poorly.
Yeah.
But your focus right now is finishing well in the NAL and then getting to the major itself. With the way that TSM has been playing and the way that Dark Zero's been playing so far, it's entirely possible that both of these teams make it, especially the Sonics, who despite having a disappointing day today, still look like a very, very tough foe. Either way, let's get into action here as our diatribe is finished. All the teams are in, and it's a very first defense down in the basement.
Yeah, it's step-by-step
Sorry.
near bar.
Not the basement bar.
There it is.
I did what you did.
You did what I...
I called first floor basement.
You called first floor
I was
basement.
thinking
It happens to
about
the best of us.
No, I didn't mean to do that. I make fun of you so much for it.
Bar is
Anyway.
indeed the bomb side. First minute burned here. Operator bans went out. It was Mirage target banning the Ying. That is a classic against SSG that most NL teams do. Then the Mirror was SSG that target banned the Nuke on this map of Chalet to get the information from the operator of Valkyrie. A trade happens. Yeti onto Melted and Kento onto Yeti. So obviously favors nobody, but Rampy finds another one for the board of SSG. It's a 4v3.
They're very quick to take map control. We saw this from Spacestation yesterday. They were very hungry in their match, as were Mirage. Let's not discredit them, but it was the SSG Parabellum game yesterday where Spacestation seemed to commit very few mistakes, and it was almost a new look. And again, this goes back to what we've talked about with every single team that's made a roster change, is that there's an acclimation that needs to happen when a player joins your squad. In this case, Spacestation getting Yeti, a very different player from Skies, so there's gonna be just a bit of an adjustment. There's a kill from Spacestation, but 2 answered back from Mirage. Oh, and Kento goes huge! The players from Spacestation just trickle on in, and now Rampy will need to clutch.
What?
Skeleton key out, it's good enough to kill Kento, and it's Dexter, the former player, albeit briefly, of Spacestation. Left against Rampy, he swings, and Dexter will have his revenge. First round goes in favor of Mirage.
That's going to feel so good for a player like Dexter, who's new to the scene, taking on a veteran like Rampy in a 1v1, the opening round of Chalet here on Playday 4. And I will say, Rampy, absolutely nasty kill with the box skeleton key, because I did not think that was going to work as well as it did. But Mirage, they come out swinging. Kento getting both kills. By the way, mid-reload is absolutely illegal. That should never happen against the F2, but it did. Look at this. Boom! First shot, one tap basically from that skeleton key. Beautiful first round here, an explosive one at that. Might be a quick re-host. I believe a member of Mirage named the Melted had a camera bug. I believe that's a HUD-related thing where sometimes you cannot see what camera that you are on, and that of course is a competitive integrity issue because somebody's going to ask, hold camera number 4, and you go, I can't see the numbers. It's like, what does it look like? And it's just, that's not fun to play with. We're going to do a quick rehost and we'll right back into it. But as I always say, the players are oh so kind and sweet, and they get really quickly back into the lobby because we are actually flying right back into round number 2. Started in bar, next up we will go to the kitchen bomb site.
A quick one while we're away, and on over to kitchen. It'll be interesting to see what the teams trot out as this tertiary bomb site, because the pick rate, I feel like, of bar has actually decreased a fair bit in favor of that the proper basement bomb site.
The proper.
Downstairs in garage.
Okay.
Or if you're from Western Canada, the garage.
The garage.
I'm surprised we haven't heard Jesse say that yet, as he is a Western Canadian.
The thing is, Jesse's, I feel like he's just too nice. Like, he wouldn't correct someone or be like forcing
He has an
this thing at
accent.
people.
That's not,
Okay.
that's not his words. It's a good old boy Canadian accent.
Good old boy.
And then upstairs to master bedroom. Now, given that this is a kitchen defense, teams might forego defending that top floor, but they're still going to defend it all the same. You're going to see quite a heavy investment from the defenders towards office. Maybe somebody over by library, maybe somebody playing by chimney, maybe even one over by bathroom. Because when you're attacking this kitchen bomb site, teams are going to want to try to take control of trophy and then move in from there. And in order to get a good foothold in trophy, you need to take control of the stairs that lead up to the bathroom, and then Solarium up at the top, which is exactly where Spacestation is starting things off.
Typically with this kind of attack, the most difficult aspect is going to be the first minute and a half. You know, getting the initial foothold in towards the building as an attacker. Once you're in, you're doing pretty damn good. But in the initial intro right here, you see crossfire from the closet master bedroom, solarium stairs, and of course the bathroom itself where Frost is playing with Melted. If SSG can find the opening and get one of those 3 kills, then they can then progress in throughout the windows, and that's going to mean that now map control has been established. But unless, Mirage swings them or loses a gunfight, it can be difficult to, force them out of these positions, especially because the grenade economy is so scarce right now. Only 2 grenades on most attacking rounds when the nuke ban is on the table. That's going to be Rampy on that sledge. Dex with a safe peek there, applies some pressure, but doesn't go for the swing.
Well, still no damage that's been done here. Mirage were not the strongest to start off the round, but they recovered quite well, and Kento goes for the run out. Well played! Fultz picks up 3 very quickly, but he can't secure the 3rd just yet. It's so close, but Melted will bleed out right now. Benji takes down Rampy, and now Bosco falls, Benji as well. The individual heroics that we've already witnessed are unbelievable up to this point, Nick. Benji picks up 3 from his spot. Melted still bleeding out. Suddenly, the advantage from Space Station is gone.
Mo taking out his teammate, but again, another hero play comes out. Benji and Mo playing close together in this 1 versus 2. They got the briefcase in South Solarium. Honeycomb might have the side, but he doesn't care about it at all because he can't do anything with that information. Fultz might be in a rescuable position. He's climbed off the edge of the rooftop, but Benji, if he hears the sound cue, could jump out.
Jump out. Do it, Benji. Benji, do it. Don't think, just do it.
Oh, and he looks away as well at the last second.
You coward, we wanted this from you.
30 seconds. Diffuser case upstairs still. Honeycomb can find the kill, but needs the case as well. Mirage being split, 1 above, 1 below.
East is where they are right now. Activating glance. Down from the shotgun from Mo. Hot and cold, no more. Fultz on a tiny bit of HP right now inside of West Main. Fultz just moving around. He'll see the smoke, but Mo has so much faith in the shotgun. What the hell is this match so far? Mirage up 2-0.
I mean, we said in the beginning, this might have the potential to be the match of the day. And it's Mirage SSG, which in Stage 1 and Stage 2, we would have never thought that. And SSG, they found the openings, and that made their lives so much easier. Fultz, 3K. Got 1 kill. Claymore jump out, 2nd kill to follow up on the injure. But then Benji just shows up. Mo shows up, and then they played so disciplined in the 2 versus 1. They figure out, okay, Hot and Cold's rotating for that revive. We're not gonna jump out and risk it, even though that's disappointing gameplay for you, Parker, but they played it disciplined in the smart way, right? They established the crossfire multiple times, and they put themselves in a position where if one person were to fall, the second person can follow it up. And it's so important because Benji was so low on HP, and towards that very end, so was Mo. A single bullet on either of those members, and they're either injured or out for the entirety of that round. Mirage are leading 2-0, starting on defense on Chalet against Space Station Gaming here in Stage 3. Playday 4. We are now round number 3, and we are now going to the basement for the first time in this particular matchup. Runic Gates being brought, Kai Claws as well. Various versions of Deny. Mirage, they have a stronghold down below. With both the...
Finish your sentence.
Jaeger will mine everything else. The spawn peak, but it goes the other way around. Yeti reads it, sees it, and takes out Kento. Jago can find all those roaming positions from apparently outside the map even.
Well, this is a wine garage defense down below. Mirage roaming on the main floor. Unsure if there's anybody above. Yes, there is. Melted playing inside a library. Again, a very common spot here. Pop the hatch, you can drop on down. Coordinated effort from Space Station to break free into office, and there they go. Melted will hear the call and try to answer forward, but the bullets will whiz right by him through the wall. Can't give too much. Instead, playing around that door frame and falling off ultimately back towards library as the drones from Space Station try to pin him down.
It's a fine balance right now. It's a bit of a dance here. So line in the middle where SSG, they have control, and right now Mirage, they want to see if they can cross that line or not. Aggression from Mohesi on the window. Does not do any damage, however. Dex with a good read on the rappel here on Solarium Stairs, but it's a passive hold from SSG so far, just focusing on library right now.
I try to isolate the players who are off-site. They know that they've got the Jaeger trapped in the corner, but this could be a one gunfight. The thing is that Rampy's not peeking it. Grenade goes off, but it doesn't seem to do any damage to Melted. This one just might. Lots of damage, but not enough. The hop in from Fultz is good. Rampy doubles up, not before Mirage gets 2 of their own. The action coming fast and furious right now. And fittingly enough, the car reference, they then have to go down to the garage in order to pull off a successful plant.
That did you indeed.
You like that one?
I like that one, yeah. I did. Dexter, of course, staying aggressive here on the staircase, understands that the bomb site itself might not be the strongest position right now. The thing is, it kind of might be. Benji is still downstairs, but if the wall gets opened up to the outside exterior of the map, that could be trouble. C4 comes out, doesn't do a single point of damage, so Dexter, he has to try and find something here, otherwise Benji might be left stranded on the bomb site all alone, because this wall is about to get blown up.
There goes the exothermic charge down, 40 seconds to go. This is where we usually see the execute go forward. Dexter still roaming on that main floor. Does he know if there's anybody above him? Because Mirage are outnumbered. You have to go for a swing, try to equalize and get back, but Dexter might actually be retaking here. What is he
He's going above?
Who is he going to try to fight? That is the real question. Dexter is so far out of the action that you've got a lot of faith in Benji, but now Benji's gone. Dexter will have to come back towards the bomb site. He was upstairs, I assume, thinking that somebody was up there, but he would have been wrong. Bosco with Diffuser getting down. They ping it. They know exactly where he is, but Dexter runs right past Fultz. And I'm not sure what Dexter was doing. I don't know if he got bad intel or not, but it's a confusing end of the round for Mirage, and SSG get on the board.
My thinking is that maybe he was expecting SSG to plant default on that trash can area, and then you could like use the verticality inside a fireplace to deny the planter, but Benji is going to be alone on the bomb site, and you're going to be quite far away from him, and once you kill the planter, they know exactly where you are. I feel like walking back towards the bomb site there, walking down the blue stairs, maybe flanking fireplace earlier on could have helped Benji hold on for a bit longer, but all those walls being soft near him, he had 3 enemies to fight in 3 different angles, and he found 1 kill, good for him. But then you gotta play retake without any real information on the bomb site itself. That is difficult to do. SSG, they prevail. They get the round 2-1 still in favor of Mirage. Back to bar, where things started off explosively in round number 1. And some operators right now are being hollered from SSG that are a bit different. Yeti going from Dokkipi onto Gridlock, an operator that we don't see quite often. And Hot and Cold go from Twitch to Capital. This could mean a direct library attack with the Capital Fire. It's going to clear those corners. 4 grenades being brought out as well from SSG. This definitely is a heavy utility-oriented attack. But of course, that doesn't mean you can only do one kind of attack. You got options on the table. A Spawn Peak coming out. Dexter, he's not going to swing that after that pre-fire comes out.
They had critical information.
They had indeed.
They didn't lack it. They had it this time around. Dexter had to fall off of the spawn peak lest he lose his head. And a wise move that is. Accompany the rest of the team and then trudge on forward. Spacestation, as they get into the building, they'll do so quite fast. The entry point is down by the snowmobile garage. There's a late setup from a frost mat over on blue stairs. It'll be sat on top of by Mohesi. The bomb site back to bar on the main floor. So we are seeing the same rotation between sites. Nick, bar twice, kitchen will likely follow up, and then that wine garage bomb site. Of course, the major question becomes, Mirage can go back to a certain bomb site if they don't win it. And that was that wine garage. They could have attempted this bomb site for a 2nd time in a row. They thought better than that.
Slow round so far. No one really taking any direct confrontation. SSG, they had step number 1 to take care of. That was the breach downstairs, but now the flank gets heard and seen and denied from Fultz. It's Dexter impact to the hatch. This is also why opening hatches, you know, in the prep phase is beneficial for your secondary shotguns or Rooney, because if you impact in the middle of the round, the sound cue just gives away your intention, and that might just be the entire difference maker. Now, it is going to be a library-oriented attack with a Capital Fire and grenades, which makes a lot of sense, but they got that bar wall opened up from the basement stairs earlier, so nobody can play stuck and hold the double window jump in. That might enable SSG the aggression that they need, but Kento shuts down Rampy before that execute can come out successfully.
Rampy having a bounce-back game after not exactly being the most potent force yesterday, but still showing up big. It was Bosco who had almost a career game that we've seen in the NAL for him. It was reminiscent of the old Bosco that we saw before. I like the Azami that's being brought right now. We haven't really seen much Azami today, well, because she's mostly been banned, but available now and being used quite extensively upstairs. The explosives from Spacestation will need to be put to good use. Only problem is what do they have? They have a single grenade from Fultz. That's really it right now. as Sledge and the grenades perished earlier on. Diffuser getting planted by Bosco, tempting Kento to try to engage. He wins! And so does Melted with one of his own. SSG loses all but Yeti in that ensuing fray. The coverage was fine, but Mirage just simply outgunned them and overpowered them in those duels. Yeti has 2 targets, up or down. He looks up, but it's Mohasi who drags him down. Mirage take round number 4. Their lead goes back to 2 rounds.
This is like such a fever dream because we're saying Mirage are outgunning SSG 1-for-1. Mirage are out-clutching SSG 1-for-1 right now on Chalet. And that is not something that I thought I would ever get to experience given the nature of the organizations in the last like 12 months basically, or 9 months at least. And it's going to force out a tactical timeout from Spacestation. They gotta figure out what the next moves are because nothing's really working for them right now. SSG, they tend to take a tactical timeout when they are behind, as most teams do, but when SSG are in the lead comfortably, they just ride it out. They really don't want to give the enemy team any breathing room, but right now, they're the ones who need it. So they'll pull the plug. Both teams can talk to their coach and with each other, which means that no one gets any unfair advantages. Still got 2 more rounds to go before the side swap. It's 3-1 for Mirage currently.
Seen a lot of early timeouts being taken here, whereas I feel like on LAN, when we're at majors, they tend to have those timeouts be brought out when the match is on the line or very close to in the second half of the game. And the one thing that we always do talk about in regards to timeouts is that by burning your timeout in the first half, you don't have any protection in the second half. So either you think things are real dire or you're reasonably comfortable, if you're Space Station, that the defense will be far more favorable to you and that maybe Mirage will fall off a little bit. Again, it's almost impossible for us to sit here and give any kind of valid perspective because we're not in the team's comms right now. We don't know exactly what's going on, and I don't want to speak like we're experts because there's so much that Lycan could have used that timeout for.
Yeah, I mean, every coach and every team will, go about a tactical timeout differently. Some teams will do it as a mental thing, was like, oh guys, we're tilting, let's get back to the game. Some is strategical, some is about just like telling a player like, yo, like you gotta fix this thing. So it really is every team has their own approach and needs and uses for these tactical timeouts and when they want to take them. SSG, they've kept things relatively similar when it comes to operator lineup. Of course, Hot and Cold on the line right now gets those secondary EMPs and a gadget that can help clear out some roamers, or at least make them stand still for when you want to try and clear out those roamers. Mirage are keeping the aggression up. Dexter going for spawn peaks almost every single round, punching windows, shooting them, running out the map, rotating, and really keeping SSG guessing as to where he's going to be playing next. And it's been, usually the first minute is a very slow one for Spacestation. They set up, they get their drones, and if they have like an early step they want to deal with, like they open up a ton of different windows, they apply all this like phantom pressure, they're cutting the rotates right now. Rampy misses the feet of the member of Mirage, so they get out the full HP. But about 30 seconds from now, that's normally when SSG get really aggressive and it gets really explosive, and that's what defines most of these rounds so far, is that mini execute on the roam clear. You see Dexter's trying to make a rotate.
Dexter, that's a little bit far, buddy.
That's not gonna work.
Not quite the distance that you'd hoped for. The first couple rounds that we witnessed on Chalet were all a breakneck speed, and things have slowed down considerably over the last 2 rounds for good reason, and that's because of the fact that, well, SSG takes a timeout if they don't feel comfortable in being quick to entry, and Mirage is winning a lot of those opening duels, despite the fact that Space Station has every first blood so far. Except for, I guess, round number 1, which was a trade.
Correct.
Settle down and then make sure that when you entry, it's not the type of style that SSG was playing before. And I mean, Rampy tries it, he gets cute with the window, and Dexter cuts him down to size. This is personal for Dexter, and now they're more in the hunt. The Zofia so close by. Dexter hears it. There's 1, there's 2, and a 3rd will come in as well. As the Yana has been down, but Dexter cannot capitalize just yet. Fultz will continue to bleed out. Hot and Cold in danger. Dexter cannot get the 3rd before Bosco ends him. It's Bosco finished off by Melted in the secondary. Hot and Cold cannot retrieve Fultz, so he has to take all of the matters into his own hands. And it's Benji Mula with the last 2 kills the first half. It's Mirage's 4-1, still 1 round for Space Station to keep it close.
It's a really good hold for Mirage because they're all so committed to the same objective right now. And I think that's the big difference maker for a lot of teams right now is some teams will look disjointed. We saw Sonics earlier play on Bank. They're trying to roam clear. And they're just falling apart individually. Like 1 versus 1s, no trades. It seems like one person's playing aggressive, one person's kind of playing passive, and there's a third guy in between. This is Mirage with 4 members just slamming their head against the wall all together in union and breaking that wall with a single member holding down the bomb side to make sure that if SSG want to get cute and rush it, well, he's there to stop it as well. They're really covering all the entry points. The roam game is working out fantastically. SSG, most importantly, they're not winning their opening duels right now. We see Rambi a couple of rounds now take that confrontation early on. And you'll get out-dueled by Dexter for the 3rd time in 5 rounds. And then SSG plays 4 versus 5. They're missing the window pressure. And all of a sudden, they just don't have enough manpower alive to match the 4 members of Mirage. So the opening gun duels really do make a lot of impact right now on Chalet. Last round of the half, round number 6. Mirage, they're just gonna keep doing the same old thing that keeps working because why change it up right now? Same rotational being made, same bomb set rotation. Bar, kitchen, basement, bar, kitchen, basement again. Last time was close, came down to a 1v2. Benji and Dexter were fighting for their life. It was SSG that prevailed. So they got the plant down with good cover.
Is one of those pocket EMPs that go off. That actually, no, that's a real deal. Never mind.
Real EMP.
It's so uncommon for us to see a Thatcher that it kind of threw me for a loop. Hot and cold, not having the strongest games so far. More cold than hot, 1 and 5, but on utility. He and Bosco were the superstars of SSG in yesterday's matchup. They have not exactly materialized the way that I think that SSG has hoped. Instead, Fultz is leading the charge.
7-4 on him, on Iana.
This is eerie.
Yeah, it's
This is eerie. Do you want to make the noises? The drones? Drones don't make that noise.
I don't know what noise they make. They're robots. I'm a human.
You've literally droned before, Nick. You know
Oh,
exactly what they sound like.
It's like when
It
they
is
jump.
like almost like a high-pitched
It's like
noise.
a high-pitched like noise.
Neither Kento nor Fultz are particularly near one another. Fultz is covering the back of the map with Hot and Cold not too far away. There's a ping outside, presumably from one of those alibi clones. Dexter lighting one up, but unable to capitalize. He can turn around and he sees the Buck, limited HP. Can the Bailiff do anything? No, he gets caught out by Fultz. A huge play from Space Station to start off the slaughter.
It's a great one.
Grenade in hand now too. Can it connect over towards Mohesi? But no, this double ADS setup that we see on the wine wall, a lot of teams run this. They had to have known about it. Mohesi will now relocate with a minute to go, and it's a standstill with Mirage at a disadvantage, but Fultz is a single bullet away from death. We have seen time and time again that teams can do a lot of damage with a player who is basically a ghost. Fultz still very much alive. Bosco now using both exothermic charges to open up the walls, leading into the back of Wine. Both of them should have no problem going off. Benji circling over towards Garage. That's where we see Yeti of Ace, and he gets Mohesi, but looks the wrong way. Benji, an easy cleanup on that kill. Now Benji repositions over towards Connector. Looking all the way down, but he's checking to the right where they're going to be swinging from the left. And he just whiffs his shots. They know Melted is playing inside of blue. A nice shot on the Fultz. Melted could have another, but they're being distracted while Bosco is getting the diffuser planted. Rampy holding off right now. This is the hope for SSG, leaving Melted to clutch out in a 1v2. Space Station searching for their second round. Melted, an incredible play. How does he do it? Good Lord. Clutching out for Mirage. And they'll take the first half 5-1 against Space Station.
Now, this is absolutely absurd. No one gets to play like this against Space Station game when the clutch team themselves. These rounds are being absolutely stolen from them. They had the discipline, the 1v2, the crossfire was established, they swung together, and they still somehow lost to Melted with that beautiful, basically a one-tap at the end with an incredibly fast flick. So that second member, Mirage, they are stealing the show, and they are disappointing a lot of Spacestation gaming fans right now, I think, but the side swap comes out. Round number 7. This is where things can change very drastically. Not only are Mirage in a position where they might just beat SSG, there might be some nerves involved. They can taste the victory, right? They're so close, and also now they need to be the ones solving problems rather than creating them. Because the game of Rainbow Six Siege comes down to defenders, need to make it difficult for attackers to figure out what to do. Now, well, SSG, they are incredibly strong at putting up a strong hold with good crossfires and a good read for the game strategically. Mirage as a new team have to try and figure out exactly how to break those defensive holds, win their gunfights, and set up the cover for a potential plant later on. It's a lot to deal with. Operator lineup, I like what they're doing. Benji bringing out the Zero to ground some information here, trying to help with that map control, cover the flanks, etc. They got verticality on both Dexter and Melted, Buck and Sledge, and they have 4 grenades. I'm a huge fan when teams play 4 grenades because you need more than 2 in most cases. See what they can do. We're starting on bar, SSG defense, Mirage attack, 5-1 in favor of Mirage so far.
Well, this is a thrilling matchup, and I mean, it's thrilling for very different reasons. It's not as competitive as I think either you or I had hoped, and if we go back and we look at the first half here, what happened? Mirage didn't have a single first blood, at least by my count.
No.
They might have had it in round 5, but they were all trades or Space Station. Yet Mirage still won. They were at a disadvantage so frequently, and yet they stuck through with it, and that is... I mean, that's superb. This is a very different Mirage team, and in a lot of ways, being captained by Mohesi, it's really brought out a lot of the potential that the other players had. You know, it wasn't too long ago that people were talking about Benji and Melted were on fraud watch.
Yeah.
They're playing. They might not be playing like superstars, but they are certainly playing like far better players now that there's a structure and a system that has seemingly been put in place in Mirage. And we've been doing exit interviews for a lot of these teams, and the general consensus is when you ask a pro player, what team is the most surprising so far this stage, all of them have said Mirage.
Yeah, I mean, and that itself is no surprise because they were one of the weakest, if not the weakest looking team in Stage 1 and Stage 2. And people thought a small roster change of 2 members, it can't change that much because the core itself looks so weak, but they're really bringing out the best in each other right now, playing on the same page. But now, on their attacking side, time is ticking down. 1 minute and 10 seconds to go. They forced the top blue position away, that is Yeti, but they haven't started working on that library hold yet. So the gunfights have to start beginning, and they gotta go in their favor. Kenzo starts it off in the right way.
Oh my goodness, and looking through those Kiba barriers, you can't really do all that much. Hot and cold, the single kill for Space Station so far. Mirage had softened up Yeti earlier. There wasn't a lot left for them to finish off when push did come to shove. And the Kiba barriers slowly being chipped away at and removed. Rampy down for the count. Benji on 0, putting in the work needed for the team. It's now up to Hot and Cold and Bosco. 3 kills combined for the 2 of them. That's a grave situation to find themselves in. Not ideal. Smoke goes out, seems to chase away Mirage, but for a moment. Final 30 seconds for SSG to hang on at this point. Bosco's now down for the count. Hot and Cold sees the sledge. This is so ugly. Good lord, it's grotesque. Mirage take the round off of some of the worst gunplay from Hot and Cold in this match. And now it's 6-1.
Sometimes you hit your shots, and then sometimes your enemy simply just misses. And that was one of the scenarios because Hot and Cold seemingly had a free kill, but couldn't quite get the shots hit to finish off the member. That was Dexter. He's down to 1 HP towards the very end there, but a lot of shots were hitting the wall right next to him, unfortunately. It's 6-1 now. And Mirage, again, they're hitting all their objectives. The shield clear, the ADS clear, the timing between flashbang grenades, and it sounds so silly and so simple to say this, but it is easy to mess up the timing when you throw the flashbangs and you throw the grenades in quick succession without getting swung, dying, or unnecessarily exposing yourself to a line of sight from the enemy. They did a really great job of staying alive until all those things were taken care of, and then they did a 3, 2, 1 countdown. Drone went in, you know, entering was successful, their trades were there, then they just slowed down again. They re-droned everything, nades were tossed out, they got a kill. All of a sudden, it was a 1v3.
5 seconds left.
Kitchen is next. This could be the final round. And you said earlier, Parker, that this hasn't been the most competitive match to what we expected, and yeah, it's 6-1. But there's basically 3 rounds for Mirage. They completely stole the show. That should have been SSG's. That means that we're being in a much more close position, round score-wise at least. So do not let this 6-1 scoreline be an illusion. It has been competitive. It has been close in its own way. And as you see, they're still looking to try and find one more round on the board here.
Well, this is the problem with using your timeout so early on, right? They take their time out, and now what happens? They're in trouble, and there's nothing they can do to fix it. If Mirage prevails here, guess what happens? They sit in first place, tied with TSM and Sonics. Now, with the round differential being the way it is, they might end up taking second, but I just do not see them catching TSM. TSM right now is actually a pretty nice round differential of +11. First kill, by the way, went to SSG, taking out Mohesi. That's the Thermite down, and no follow-up. Hard breach is a bit of a problem for Mirage, but they've got more than enough room on the runway to still land this thing if they so choose, because SSG's only mustered a single round. Kento walks in, doesn't look at his cross. Yeti at the top of library stairs punishes him for that. SSG with an advantage now.
That to do, and it's a nice cross-hold from SSG. I mean, Hot and Cold had so much faith in Lydia. Didn't even flinch when the jump-in happened or the Diane scan came out either. And now Mirage, this is probably the least favorable position they've been in so far in this entire matchup, essentially, besides those clutch moments in the 1v2s, because they're down a member, they have little map control, and Spacestation, they've killed their only hard breach. They need to now work their way through the map, but somehow Dexter finds another kill on the round, seemingly out of nowhere, onto Hot and Cold that was playing that top chimney position. But now, SSG, they will falter. They go backwards towards the master bedroom, towards the bathroom itself. They're going to establish another crossfire position between Rampy and Bosco. Last member, of course, playing on the bomb side itself, can hold down the fortress below. And because there's no hard breach from Mirage, they don't really have any easy ways in through Fireplace. Decisions to be made. Do you go above and contest the roamers? Do some verticality with 40 seconds left? Do you just run in dining hall and pray you can get into the bomb side? Well, we're gonna go above. Lion scan comes out, and here we go.
And they get some marks out of it too, chasing them down those Solarium stairs, back down into Trophy. Rampy's able to reposition himself, find a new home, and well, he's going to lose a lot of the ceiling above him as Melted goes to work, and the backup plan is for Dexter to do the same thing. Bosco guns down Dexter, though, so there is no backup plan any longer. Mirage losing one of their soft destructors and their highest rated player at the moment with 12 kills. Bosco through the hatch takes out Melted. And I guess go upstairs was the game plan for Mirage, but it did not clearly work. Now it's Benji to take a lot of damage, and whether he dies or lives, the clock is going to end. A potential for Mirage to put this one away. The comeback for Space Station might have just begun.
It might have just begun, but it's going to be a long road ahead of you, and no mistakes can really be made. And even though that round looked so convincing from Space in the first minute and a half, it still came down to be a close round. I think if Mo was alive on that Thermite, instead of someone else had died early on, that could be in such a different scenario, because the dining wall gets opened up, you have top floor control, you can start establishing the plant down, and then the cover can come out from the attackers from far away with those zoom scopes against members of SSG who only has the 1.0 scopes available to themselves. There is going to be a quick rehost here, and this is an unfortunate timing for Mirage, because momentum, of course, given that SSG won the round, you can argue that SSG are currently on fire. But the thing is, you don't want to give SSG any breathing room or comfortability in this scenario, but we have to make sure that competitive integrity comes first, and because of a drone bug, I believe we are going to be doing for a quick rehost to ensure that all 5 members on the attacking side can use their drones and gain information. So it shouldn't take too long, as we always say. It never really does these days. Mirage, they're still in good spirits, laughs across their faces, and I don't want to say that they're just happy to be here, because I don't think they are. They want to win, and they're putting in a lot of work to do it. And Dexter wasn't even supposed to be playing for Mirage, because he was actually on Space Station Gaming for the event in Saudi. And then, unfortunately, because of roster changes elsewhere, like Yeti being available, things got changed up last second. And Dexter made this tweet longer saying, I was going to play for Space Station, I signed a contract, things didn't work out, I really want to play for a different pro league team, someone please pick me up. And last second, Mirage, they were that unsung hero.
Bailed him out.
Bailed him out, basically.
Sent him a lifeline, gave him a life preserver, whatever cliche you want to use, whatever phrase, saying, etc. Space Station are on apparently the cold side of the arena, which is why you always see them towards the hand warmers. I don't know. I've never been to the esports arena. You and I talked about this yesterday, but I have seen much chatter from the teams about how one side is typically colder than the other, and yada, yada, yada. And the jokes that come with it of teams setting their thermostat to like 10 degrees Celsius and saying, I'm ready to compete. So
Yeah.
either way,
Kino on Twitter.
that's why you constantly see players toying with things in their hands, and you ask, what is that? Those are hand warmers.
True.
Because it gets cold.
It does get cold. It looks like a tea bag almost. Has like these like seed-like thing in them, and they go warm when they
You crack
touch
them,
the air.
they get hot.
Yeah.
Science.
Yeah. Some sort of science thing. It's pretty cool, actually. Then we got upgrades for, I don't know if it's this stage or last stage, but we got the electric hand warmers as well. So you can just kind of like put your hand in front of them. It's like almost like a fan, basically, but hot air. So we got options here. It's pretty cool.
Looks like almost everybody is in. We're just checking to make sure that all of the operator bands are good to go. No timeout has been taken yet from Mirage, so they have ample opportunity for them to settle things down if a comeback from Space Station starts to materialize. And if the specter of losing for Mirage looms large, then they can very easily just, hit that panic button and get themselves back into the game. The one thing I have noted is that while we've been on this tech pause, Mohesi has not stopped talking, which, as somebody who wants to lead this team, I think that is an excellent thing for you to do. Melted has also been talking a little bit, but by and large, the team has been listening.
Absolutely.
How important leadership can be for your team, how important it can be that you have somebody to guide you forward as Mohesi has done. And it's not like the two departing players from Mirage were bad by any measure. It's just that maybe the team needed something more than both Nyx and Marm brought to the squad. It certainly, based on results, seems like these two new additions have been somewhat of that formula and have really helped Mirage find their footing. And again, while the scores won't reflect it because we did have a rehost, both Benji and Melted were playing far better than in previous stages and previous matches. And that has been a consistent thing for the 4 games, well, 3 so far in this 4th game for Mirage.
Absolutely agree. And it's all about, again, coming together and agreeing on a play style, because I feel like if you have half a team that wants to play the game, let's say, structured, and then the other half wants to play like aggressive and loose, well, you're not really ever going to be on the same page 100%. I mean, I used to say back when I was in Penta, if I was in a 1 versus 2 situation, I'd rather play with Fabian than Dunes, because Fabian and I played the game the same way, whereas Dunes and I, we had very different ideas. And it just seems to me, looking at this from top-down view, Mirage are on the same page about how they want to play the game. And you can argue that it's a better version, it's a weaker version, whatever, but the point is, it's 5 people coming together with the same vision, and that's always gonna beat people being apart. So far, success is being found. SSG not really roaming on the master bedroom side of things, so an early entry here from Mirage can be enabled. They're gonna play for that top chimney, top blue stairs position, where last time the utility from Mirage was excellent. Flashbang, I changed their mind.
Maybe not. It is absurd that you need to rappel up that little thing, though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're supposed to be some of the best counter-terrorist units in the entire world, and you can't just climb up a ledge onto a roof? Like, come on. They're wearing 50 pounds of tactical gear. Dude, I don't care. They pull steel beams out of their behind.
Like,
the realism doesn't exist. If you're a person crowing about realism in Rainbow Six, then I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah, it's always the best argument. Where did the reinforcements come from? But yeah, the Flores here could actually be the key operator, because if you can clear out these shields without burning a ton of flashbangs and grenades, you have so much more utility to use elsewhere on the map. All these magnets you see in the ceiling, probably going to be ADS on the floor, gate on the window as well. It's going to burn so much time. But see, the one flashbang goes out, melted strong, and shield is gone. They can circumvent half the entire setup because of they're bringing a Flores.
Fultz just firing away from inside of library here. First casualty is Fultz. Mirage in prime position to get a couple more and win this whole thing. They got a minute to go to find the 4 players from SSG who are spread out all over the map. Yeti fires back though. Mirage not going to have an easy time of it. SSG will put up a front and slow them down. Mirage now repositioning. And Space Station have seemingly all dropped off of that top floor. All right, so they've surrendered control and will now head closer to the bomb site. Consolidate and wait for the push to come from Mirage.
But 35 seconds left. I mean, Mirage don't have that much they can do right now. You know, they can do a little bit of verticality maybe from this sledge, but I mean, the angles are oh so open. And it's just they got locked on the bomb side.
Oh, Melted taking some serious damage as they tussle with Hot and Cold now on this hatch. He's got that high damage DMR. Benji, no. Kills Kento. So unideal. Now Dexter falls as well. This round looked good. Dexter gave them that opening, gave them the advantage, but it's been squandered as all of Mirage are walking into the bullets. And now Melted has dropped. Picks up a kill on the Rampy, but that's just for the Siege GG stats, nothing else. Space Station hangs on. Melted and LOL in the chat, and we might be far from over.
Yeah, but it's also close every single round, and it comes down to the small details here, whether you can break the initial hold or not. No member from Mirage was in the library balcony, so the members of SG were a little bit more free to run around the area and establish those crossfires. And Mo actually being the opening death now 2 rounds in a row for Mirage, and it's not really necessarily a bad thing because in a bar attack, you don't need the Thermite anymore at that stage. You basically become an injury player. You've used your first extra Thermite charge early in the round, you've used your flashbangs, etc. You are basically a walking gun. And losing your IGL of Mo, probably not the end of the world. He can call better shots from the grave as he has more oversight, more overview in general. But essentially they are losing their mad advantage, is what my point is. Where in the previous couple of rounds, once they applied pressure, they were never letting go. But as you see, they're fighting back. 6-3 and Master Bedroom is being brought out for the first time in this matchup so far. Hot and Cold on the Warden is stable operator for him. Rambi, of course, on the fast operator in the game of Oryx. Getting that 1.5 XT5 can really help you out in these rounds to get those kills. And if anything, I want to see Rambi take down Dexter, because those two seem to always fight one another in these early openings. And
Well,
it seems like we might have another rehost here.
Unfortunate.
It's
Well,
unfortunate timing indeed.
this feels like the end of an NBA game. I don't know if you watch a lot of NBA games, but you'll end up with those games where both teams will save their timeouts and then deliberately try to foul each other and then immediately call a timeout. And it's like the first bit of the game, like in an actual like NBA game, the first like 3.5 quarters, fly by. And then the final 2 minutes of the game take over 30 minutes to play out.
Oh God. That sounds miserable.
I remember there was one game. I think it was when the Toronto Raptors were playing the Brooklyn Nets in the playoffs, and it was like 1:40 on the clock or something like that. And there were so many timeouts and so many fouls and commercial breaks that I was able to watch an entire period of hockey, 20 full minutes of hockey, before that game had ended in the NBA. And I was just like, really? Like, come on. I understand it just kind of drags it out, and it seems like we are not going to have a quick resolution to this matchup because the last 2 rounds here between Mirage and SSG have taken 20 minutes now. It feels like 10, 15 minutes somewhere in that window. So we will get everybody back in the lobby, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, that there won't be any issues.
I mean, there's an easy way to fix this. If Mirage just wins the next round, we won't have to worry about the long-term issues that might occur. So it really is simple when you boil it down. But SSG's comeback would also be stopped.
I mean, it's also very favorable to SSG that there are tech issues because they are the team that are behind right now, and it does kind of dampen Mirage's momentum. If Mirage were feeling really good, fired up, SSG were demoralized and sitting there upset, now they get a bit of a breather. They can sit back. Yeah, they can't talk with their coach. They use their timeout after round number 4. They haven't been able to talk to Lycan since. But the rest of the team are able to talk to each other. Mirage can too. But I honestly think it benefits SSG an awful lot to get their mental back into it, to kind of take their foot off of the gas or have Mirage take their foot off the gas and let SSG just vibe.
No,
Just vibe and get back into it.
Just vibe. I do agree with you, and it is a valid point, but the other outcome is that there's going to be a competitive integrity issue where you either play 4v5 or a drone issue, whatever, so there really is no perfect resolution to this situation, and I feel like it's only fair that it's a 5v5 with all members in the server for a match point round, and there was an instance in stage 2, I believe, where SSG, they were on match, it was like, if they lose 3 rounds, they can't make the major, or a certain team can't make the major, and in that final round that mattered for them, they had a crash, they played 4v5, and it sucked. So, as much as rehosts are unfun to be a part of, and to watch, and to cast, and to everything else, I think in this particular instance, it is so necessary, because look at this, 6-3 in favor of Mirage, would be a crazy upset against SSG, we're at match point. This round deserves to be played out in its fullest with all members available. That's what we're gonna do. We are back into it. Prep phase is about to end in 2 seconds time. Mirage bringing the same stable lineup basically to every single attack so far. It's gonna be the Lion, Buck, Thermite, Iana, and Sledge. Again, they have all the tools they need. One thing they can change, Mo can go from flashbangs to smoke grenades on the Thermite. The rest typically stays the same. Yeti, just like the previous time around, is holding an angle on this window in case he hears a sound cue, so he opens up the window for a swing. Mirage, they said, we don't really care about that window right now. We're gonna go upstairs and try and peel off Library. It's gonna be an over clear. Master Bedroom Defense, need I remind you? Early extension from SSG, they got a shield and a cross from Yeti. Last time Mirage had an issue with clearing out Yeti's position of blue stairs. Gotta fix that for this time.
Oh.
That's scary.
Yeah, it was a bit of a jump scare for Yeti as the Gemini goes through Library. Doesn't make it past the top of Library stairs. Bosco's not too far away to support. A window into the soul is what they call the eyes, and Yeti will use both of those to look far deep towards the main stairs. So much action happening. This looks like a repeat of the first couple rounds, Nick, where it's just an all-out frenzy. And Space Station are greeting the aggression from Mirage head on. They will not be taken away from this position. There goes a grenade right next to Hot and Cold, and yet another as he looks long range and gets the pick onto Dexter. Down he goes. Space Station start off the round with a pick. Looking for more as Kento advances, Yeti taking some damage.
And that is, Nate goes south, but it's not cooked, so Harding can make his moves around it. Gets the cross again, established. Can't quite get the kill though, as Mo finds one onto Bosco, but Yeti finds one to Kento as well. It's a trade back and forth.
And so much damage is being done right now. SSG still with the advantage. Hot and Cold is just holding court upstairs, and everybody is having to listen to this sermon as he preaches the good word of Warden. Not for much longer though, Melted, removing him from the server. There's an E1 Dgon, still one remaining for Benji. Utility available for Mirage, should they need it. Skeleton key for Buck, basically at full. Gotta be mindful of those frost mats though, because Fultz has placed all three of them, and as the clock continues to work against you, you have to be concerned with where you're stepping. You won't necessarily have the time to look every single time you make a move in a certain direction.
Yeah, but for the third time in a row, it's Mo down for the count again, so the wall cannot be opened up, and there's no secondary heart breach unmelted. So what do you have? You have 3 flashbangs to work with in a dream, because you gotta walk through double door piano, and it's not gonna be, a nice situation. Without smoke grenades, you gotta just hope that they miss their shots and you hit yours.
Rampy's waiting so patiently. Long range with that T5, a relatively easy gun to control. He lights up the Buck of Melted and then immediately heads down below for cover. Still in the same spot. Nice shot from Benji. He knows the other's going to push from over towards bathroom. Diffuser going down, and now the clock starts to run. Rampy could get an easy pop-up, and he sees the head of Melted. Could he be the hero? Benji in a 1v2. Match on the line for Mirage. All 3 points there. Rampy on the diffuser. Benji knows this. He has to hurry. Where's the cross? He gets swung on by Fultz holding the position. Space Station putting together a nice streak. They've won 3 in a row, and Mirage might be in trouble.
Yeah, and this is the thing. When you're so close to winning, when the pressure is at its highest, that's where the experience of SSG really shines. And, I mean, Mirage, they just need that one more round, a few more kills to go their favor, one opening kill, one clutch, one situation where they find themselves the victor. They have called for a tactical timeout now, and this is where things are going to get a bit dire. You've had 2 tech issues, now a tactical timeout. Both teams get to talk with their coach. So Lycan might have something to tell SSG's players as well. 2 more rounds, then we will enter overtime. We basically need things to happen right now, right here for Mirage, and get back into this game. Good news is they have guaranteed overtime at the very least, which is 1 point, but also they have more rounds to go if they get there.
It's the benefit of having your team fall apart, or having your opponents fall apart earlier on, is that you can then use your timeout. But it does bring Space Station back into the game.
It does.
I actually talked to Lycan after one of the matchups on the last stage, and I said, why didn't you call a timeout when your team was getting the stuffing beat out of them? And he said, because I thought that what we needed to fix was obvious. And that I didn't need to talk to the team, but if I called a timeout, it also allows our opponents to talk. And that becomes a problem, because then they can strategize.
Yeah.
Then they can get their heads back in the game. Or even if they're not in the game and they're winning, then they can use that potentially to come up with a good pocket strat and to stop us in our tracks.
Oh, you're right. It's easy to think that a tactical timeout is always going to benefit you the most, but it really isn't always the case. Now we see another kitchen defense here from Space Station. Mirage, operator-wise, they're staying to their guns. It's all the same as before. So that tactical timeout is gotta be related to either execution or initial entry points. Maybe a weakness was spotted out. Maybe a pocket trap was coordinated. Either way, similar stories right now. Hot and Cold has been a big problem in the last 3 rounds. He's been holding the ground for Space Station, finding kills and buying so much time. And SSG are playing very nicely around him. Yeti usually is his duo. He's there to assist him. If Mirage can clear out this chimney position that Hot and Cold is in, that's going to be how they can start this round with a win.
30 seconds off of the clock. Can the timeout work? SSG didn't have success. They lost the 3 rounds that followed them calling a timeout, but now it seems like we are in a very defender-sided Chalet. The attacking teams have only won a single round apiece. SSG's came in round number 3. Mirage did it in the very first round of their attack, which is good because it gives them so much time to just simply win another based on site selection. But SSG seems to be hitting their shots. Yeti takes down Melted before being traded out. Neither team really gains anything, but then there goes Kento to Fultz. Space Station roaming as effectively as Mirage did in the first half. And you can tell that Mirage are not droning it out effectively. And despite having 7 drones at their disposal, it's not simply enough. There's plenty of time, though. Half of the round to go for Mirage to find their footing as Benji now suffers a bit of damage. SSG having 1 player on the field more than Mirage could be huge, but now it's gone. Fultz down by Mohesi and finished off on Library Stairs.
And Mo's alive. That's a big thing right now because he's been dead the last 3 attacking rounds as the second member of the team. Hot and Cold hiding near the double window to office, and they have not joined him out successfully. Hot and Cold right here could easily get 1 or 2 kills. He's biding his time and waiting. He has no reason to move right now. He's been misdroned twice. He knows this. There's no intel to be gathered. But Mo is up. Wall gets opened up. Hot and Cold.
There's no way you just said no intel to be gathered when you hear the crew mines going off! Hot and Cold gets 2, but that's all he gets. It's out Dexter in a 1v2. What a play and a leap of faith by Hot and Cold. Can Dexter do much with these 40 seconds? 3 points again for Mirage. But Dexter needs to bounce that nade effectively. He knows somebody is over there. Here's the suppressor going off. Gets impacted. Waiting for the pop-up. He'll toss a grenade just to try and dislodge the alibi, but Bosco's better. We're going all 12 rounds. Woo! We cast or cursed it in the first half. We said, oh, this isn't that competitive a match. It's 5-1 Mirage. They're storming through this. This one's over. Well, guess what? Space Station are preventing Mirage from going quietly into that good night.
They are, and now all the pressure really comes to this round, and then the pressure kind of goes away again. That's funny how that works, because once you go to OT, I feel like Mirage will get a sigh of relief for that. Like, okay, we messed up the first half here, but now we're resetting. Now we're playing basically 3 rounds in a row. I don't know. But right now, they still have that pressure that they can win in regulation. And they feel like they're probably choking right now. Rounds are not going in their favor. Small issues are occurring. Their executions have been quite predictable. They've been trying to essentially do the same exact attack 3 times in a row. Because the way they've been attacking against both the kitchen and master bedroom attack is similar. Because the ways she holds those bomb sites are similar as well. And I feel like Mirage really wish they had the nuke available right now to just go in the basement, walk up a staircase, and get a kill somewhere. I feel like that's the only criticism for Mirage right now, is that they're very linear in their attacking style. It is quite easy to read. And SSG is a seasoned veteran team. They do not struggle against that.
Here's the ultimate heartbreak scenario for Space Station, though, is that Mirage wins this round and SSG's comeback. 4 rounds in a row, looking great. Significantly better than the first half. And yet it was all for naught, because if they lose here and Mirage wins 7-5, nary a point for Space Station to be found. So Mirage would walk away with everything. The keys to the 3-point castle. Can it happen? This is the big challenge for a newer team as well, and for somebody like Mohesi, who's guiding a team forward at this level, is you're up against experienced competition who know how to play from behind. They know how to keep their head in the game, and they know how to eke out a victory against hardened opponents. The newer teams, the more inexperienced rosters, the more inexperienced IGLs, they're the teams that are often struggling in this position, and being able to keep that mental composure sometimes can be a massive challenge. Timeout that was called by Mirage did not result in an immediate benefit that we could see. Will it pay dividends now, or will it also help them in overtime? Mind you that because Mirage hit those 6 rounds, SSG cannot get the full 3 points here, which is obviously unideal given the fact that they are in 8th place, but 1st and 8th are actually quite close to one another. So picking up even 2 points for SSG would help propel them up the standings.
Every point really does matter early on in the stage because so many things can happen throughout. The Terror Drone goes in, kind of jumps back and forward, but somehow gets the shield regardless.
It worked.
Good value. It definitely worked. Wall got opened up by Mo as well, so he's now a free gun to rain as well. Surprised there's no smoke grenades from Mo to help these lines of sights and kind of enable his injuries to take a more confrontational gunfight single-handedly in a 1v1 position. But we've seen this many times before, Parker. It's the blue chimney hold against the office push. See what happens.
Yeti's been in the same spot for so long. Mirage want these engagements, but Kento misses. He has to fear a follow-up from Yeti. Dexter, who was so strong at the onset, is not where he needs to be, and he's down for the count. That leaves just Melted and Benji still up. Space Station in a 5v3, but basically a 5v2 unless somebody can get to Dexter. That all but secures overtime unless something goes horrifically awry for SSG. This is a team that's been in this position so many times before. Mirage had a lead. They didn't really know what to do with it, and they've fallen apart at the seams. And I was actually going to credit how good their utility work had been. Clearing out the shield, taking charge of balcony, but then they couldn't hit their shots, and they got swung on. But it's an ego peak from Hot and Cold. Dexter gets brought back to life. Things are not as grim for Mirage as they were seconds before, but still don't look very good. It leaves just 20 seconds left. Yeti not shaken off of Library Stairs. Back to the bomb site he goes. And down goes Benji now. Fultz with 2. They run right into him. Melted in a 1v4, or we go to overtime. And Yeti says, we're going to take a point apiece. The comeback is so real. Space Station take 5 in a row, and we're going to overtime.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly, Parker. The utility clear from Mirage is superb, but the issue is that's not all you need. I mean, sure, you can destroy the shield, but Yeti, he's still on that blue staircase. He gets grenaded, it's uncooked, he swings up aggressively and gets 2 kills with nobody looking in his direction. And again, I really think SSG's experience right now is just the big difference maker. Mirage doing the same attack over and over and over again. And they're expecting a different result, which we know that saying, that is basically insanity. Nothing was really changed around. Was SSG, they made these micro adjustments, right? The first time Yeti played passively on blue stairs, the second time he got grenaded, the third time he swings aggressively. Hot and Cold is really the only stable player who does the exact same thing every time. That's because he always gets away with it as well. He's yet to be punished on that chimney position. And what do you know? SSG, they have overtime defense, and they're gonna go kitchen, they're gonna do the same hold with the same players in the same positions, and then Mirage, they should in theory go for a completely different attack. Mo is going from Thermite onto Hibana, and Melted from Flores onto Box. So this is signifying that Mirage are going to change things up. The question is how.
And if you look at just the trend line of this matchup, the fact that Space Station is on defense for 2 rounds is huge.
Yeah, massive.
Absolutely massive. I mean, you can swap up the roles as much as you'd like, but you've got the favorable side. Only 2 of 12 rounds breaking in favor of the attackers is not what fans of Mirage want to see one bit, but that's the reality of the matter, and that's the fact of the matter and the reality of the situation. I smashed the idioms, I did it again. Either way. 30 seconds off of the clock. Space Station have changed up their own way of holding this bomb site. Yeti no longer at the top of Library Stairs. Instead, he's over by Bathroom. He's got those Kiba barriers set up by the Azami of Hot and Cold. And now the magnets will go out as well. Yeti had a very bad start after the rehost. Yeti has done exceptionally well. The opposite for Dexter. He was as hot as could be, and Yeti is going to continue to keep heating up. He's getting pressured from multiple angles, sees the grenade go down, needs to be wary of the bathroom window. The tracers will give away the position of yet another towards Solarium. It's Dexter up there. He'll engage with Rampy, but has to also be wary of Yeti swinging. This is a mess for both of these teams. But Rampy continues to persist, and down goes Mohesi. Suddenly, Space Station have just broken this one open, and could it be flawless? No, Dexter says not this time. 4 more for SSG, though. 1 more for Mirage. Dexter holding out the same position. The onus is on him to get to the bomb site. He's on such limited HP. He's not going to be able to get the diffuser down. There's no way. A snowball's chance in hell.
Attackers have recovered their
So he has to go for kills.
He has no HP. One bullet, he's out. Yeti, of course, in half, he held his ground really well inside the bathroom, got the opening kill. No real follow-up from Mirage in that entry, essentially, or initially, rather. And those keeper barriers are really good at helping out those anchor positions. And of course, SSG, they can run around, they can sit tight, they can hide in the corner. It doesn't really matter because Dexter, he might go for the tactical timeout without taking the
I think that's the play.
timeout.
Yeah, I think that's the play right here. If I'm Dexter, winning this 1v4 is definitely doable. Look at the HP of the players on SSG. But for a team that is resilient as they are, they're just going to stay in position. They're going to hold their crossfires. They're going to make it nigh impossible for him to be able to do anything with it. So you might as well just waste time. Allow the rest of your team to talk and figure out what's going to happen for your next defense. Because if you look at the way that this overtime breaks down, the defenders are expected to win pretty much every time. Mirage will go to defense in 20 seconds. They should win that round. Catastrophic results if they don't win that round because then they end up losing the entire matchup. And I mean, it looks like he definitely did take his time. Rambi gets the kill. That is 6 rounds in a row for Space Station. Now they sit on match point.
That they do. And it all comes down to this. Which bomb site do we choose? To freshen up the memory, when Mirage was on defense, they played basement twice, and it was the only bomb site that they lost a single time. That's the first time around. So basement is probably not going to be the answer. Bar currently being hovered by the members of Mirage, that is. And that does seem to be the most favorable bomb site for both of these teams so far. Both teams struggling with the same attack and defense. Just goes to show that it's very difficult to pull apart. Of course, Asami being open is a rarity on Chalet, and it's because the library becomes so much easier to hold because of those keeper barriers. The 9 lines of sight, establishing crossfires, and making it harder for the attackers to get an easier kill on towards those members that are so important to clear. Normally, Asami's banned, not this time around, and this is the price you pay.
Well, I've started to see more and more Azami being played by both these teams and how critical those keeper barriers are at keeping you safe. Explosives have actually been at a minimum. We haven't seen a lot of Zofia play. We've seen a lot of Flores, yes, but ultimately the grenades that have been brought have been in the hands of Sledge. Yep. Yana's been a staple of Space Station. Operators are locked in. Space Station, despite taking their time out, have put together a very impressive body of work and are now a single round away from getting 2 points and keeping themselves in the hunt. It certainly looked like when it was a 6-1 scoreline that Mirage was going to be able to walk away, skate away, since they're Canadian, well, the Orcas, with all 3 points, but SSG did not make it easy. And now Space Station's resilience is really showing, again, why this team is a world-class and world championship caliber team. Defenders are in a great position. Mirage should, in theory, based on the way that this map is played, win this round. That would set us up for all 15, which could be heartbreaking for Mirage to be 6-1, and ultimately, if they end up losing that round, lose 8-7, that would be debilitating. But again, they're a younger team. Trying to find their composure and trying to stay calm in the face of adversity is a significant challenge that just simply has to be taught with time.
It is. I mean, going the distance with SSG is not a loss in itself at all. I mean, they still get that 1 point at least, but a good start here actually for Mirage because the Kento who's playing inside the library gets out and alive with full HP, forces out a grenade, flashbang, etc. But Kento taking damage from Fireplace in towards the bomb side.
He's got that one soft wall inside of the back of Bar, so needs to be wary of any lobby presence from Space Station. They're still trying to flush out somebody from upstairs in the library, but they can't quite do it. Hot and Cold dies to Benji. The roam with the DMR in hand is too much. Kento suffered a lot of damage, but he is still alive.
That is true.
He can wait. No real opportunity to heal him back up present. Thunderbird has disappeared from the Chalet meta. I think Azami is honestly what has forced her out for a lot of teams, taking that flex position. And speaking of Azami, melted now by Chimney, losing some cover. Yeti creeping upstairs. If they don't see from the cam inside of lobby, Yeti is free and clear to put in a clinic, as there's 2 separate players from Mirage that could be his for the taking. But look at that, he's just in the middle of the bomb site! Yeti decides to take control himself. He sees an opening, cannot connect onto the Jaeger, but does so. Both kills are his. Melted is gone as well. It's a clean sweep from Space Station as the diffuser goes down. And Benji, the only one to get a kill so far this round, will need to get more. He can't! Fultz gets the kill. And Space Station wins every round that they need to put this one away. Goodness gracious. 8-6. It was 6-1 for Mirage. 7 rounds in a row for SSG. And they take the win.
Did you see Yeti stormed over to fist bump his opponents before celebrating with his team? He was there instantaneously, by the way.
Oh my
He's
God.
at the edge of the stage too. Oh my god. That last attack as well, by the way, from Space Station is superb. That's exactly the kind of thing that I wish Mirage was gonna do, where like you try and go library, it looks like a default take, what do you know? You full send up basement stairs because there's no Banshee there, into side, you get both openings, and every single member of Space Station was so ready for it. One member on that library rappel, and then that was it.
That was it. And you can see there's some smiles on both teams. Obviously, SSG relieved with that matchup, but Mirage so close yet so far. For a team that has overperformed a lot of the community's expectations, I would still be proud of this result, even if you didn't put a win down in the books. That said, that's it for today. We got the analysts to walk you through that very final map. But before we get there, a break. Let's have the analysts take over in just a couple minutes. See you soon.
Oh my goodness. The final match of the week, and we go the distance. Basically a reverse sweep for Space Station Gaming. I think they were, I think they had 1 point going into the half. It was 5-1 in favor of Mirage. But Yeti and Co were not done. Oh no, not by a long shot. They kept it tight. They brought it back. Mirage couldn't handle the pressure. I can't believe it. I can't believe they won. Crazy, huh?
7 unanswered rounds,
Right.
7 in a row, all the way from the one immediately after the half split straight in. I think that's one of the best performances we've seen, in spite of there being several rounds. Space Station definitely should have won when they were attacking. Fantastic performance, and they actually showed resilience to close a match out in that fashion. So really good stuff from SSG.
Pretty epic stuff. And apparently we have one of the members of the team waiting for us in Vegas. It's False, standing by to chat with us a little bit. So, False, the win comes after a grueling number of rounds. But you guys have got it done. I got to know, like, as a pro gamer, when you're in that situation, 5 down at the half, you find yourself like 6-1, 6-2. How do you keep yourself mentally in the game at that point?
You know, we have 5 players that have been playing the game for a really long time. and we've all made comebacks like that before. So you kind of just have it in the back of your head. It's not going to be easy, but it's always doable. So.
Faults, you guys have been really crushing it on defense so far this stage. Second best rated defensive team in the stage coming into this game, 65% win rate, and then obviously this match as well, dominating Mirage on defense. What do you think it is that makes it so much easier for you guys to win on defense versus your attacks?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. In scrims, it's not always like that. Like in scrims, we're a very good attack team, so I don't know if it's something on game day that like changes once we come to a match, but like last stage we were a very good attacking team, and then we couldn't defend, and then this stage is kind of the opposite. So I think it just like we have 5 aimers and 5 really good players, which is kind of the meta on defense, and we can all like work off each other, and we're never like giving up our lives very easy on defense. So I don't know, I think we just don't give his team as many picks as other teams, and I think that results in more round wins.
Hey, Volts, you know, a lot's kind of been made about the SSG vibes or whatever the last couple stages, and you know, this was really the first time you can almost kind of test that down 5-1. Did you kind of notice maybe a little bit of a Yeti impact with the team kind of still locked in, kind of, you know, you're not giving up, you're fighting for every round?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Yeti's one of those guys, like, that dude will never give up, bro, and anything he does, like, in game, out of game, he's just a very resilient type of person. So when you're in those situations, it's always good to have guys like that, but I wouldn't even say it was just him that was like keeping the vibes up. You know, we were all completely in the game the whole entire way, but he definitely doesn't hurt, that's for sure.
When it comes down to your defenses, it's obviously a known quantity. But on the attacking side, it felt like there were maybe 2-3 rounds you have a really early advantage, or you're trying to sneak a plant into a spot, and for some reason, like a crossfire just isn't being held the right way. Was it just a matter of small mistakes, or was it just a coordination thing you think you can fix on attack heading into the games next week?
Yeah, I think going into this match, we knew we were playing Mirage, which is a team that like, they're very aggressive early round, and we didn't really think that we would struggle with our executes, but that was really the case in this match. We were messing up on a lot of our executes, and I think one round I was like on game's window, and I lost the fight to the guy. I don't know what most people call it, but it's right by that game's like half wall. Right. And once you lose that fight, like the round can kind of crumble sometimes when you're going for that type of plant. So I just really needed to win that gunfight. And then I don't really remember too specifically the issues on the other rounds, but I think it was just came down to like picks before executing. It wasn't like always super early. So I don't know. I'd have to watch it back to give you like a clear answer, but yeah, I don't know. I think Mirage honestly played pretty well, and they were taking advantage of like holes late round against us.
Yeah, they came in strong for sure, but in the end, the mental fortitude was there, the experience was there, the plays were there, Space Station Gaming getting the win. Congrats again on that one, coming out of week 2 with a win at the end, and good luck next week. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you guys. Well,
there you go, folks from Space Station Gaming, 8-6 victory in the end, taking us all the way to OT in the final match of the week. But man, that was a good one. Best match of the day, I think, by far.
Yeah, 17-9 from our interviewee as well. In most days, that would be the best stat line that we've seen all day. Maybe not today, but still very impressive. 17-9, 4-2 entry as well. Yeti, Jacob, I think you talked about him kind of coming in, and you know, maybe the Yeti effect being a big deal. Yep. 5-0 on entry, very impressive.
I wanted this exact kind of thing to come, and you also did too. You had plenty of experience teaming with him when he did stuff like this. It wasn't the exact same Yeti. What do you think was probably like the biggest difference from Sonic's Chalet Yeti to SSG's Chalet Yeti?
I mean, I noticed they had him playing in a lot of the spots that we did as well that he's comfortable with. But, you know, I tried to say before the game, Yeti knows how to play Chalet, and I'm sure he tried his best to let SSG know how to play Chalet. It seems like on attack, you know, maybe there's still a little work to be done, but in my opinion, they could have won 4 attacks.
Yeah, exactly.
But those defenses, that was some lockdown defense on a map that in NA is never really defender-sided.
Suddenly, Mirage were playing really, really slow, and I think they got progressively slower over the course of those defenses. If SSG cleaned up, like you said, just a couple of things on attack, it felt like their knowledge of Chalet is definitely a little bit more, I'd say extensive. It's just a matter of capitalizing when the iron is hot. That's the one thing they didn't do in this game. It probably could have been over way sooner. Maybe we don't even look at overtime. Maybe possibly all it takes is like a couple of rounds of Mirage getting trounced on defense, and we're not even worried about it going the full distance. But still, I think Mirage put up a good fight, this was definitely still SSG's domain overall.
Well, one thing that the four of us were talking about when we were watching this game too is that, Mirage is in a position this stage that they haven't found themselves really in all year, where it's like now, the pressure sometimes is off when you're bad, right?
Yeah.
But now things have changed. They're good. There's expectations. Kind of the stuff we talked about earlier this week with some of the newer players coming in the league applies to the whole team in Mirage's case sometimes, where it's like, now you feel that pressure that you didn't necessarily feel for a lot of the year, and I think it kind of got to him a little bit. When you see a team collapse like that, that's definitely kind of a nerves thing. That's definitely a mental thing. You mentioned them playing slower. Certainly the case. We've got a couple replays to take a look at. They're from the earlier part in the game. We had a bit of a tech issue, so we only got to look at things from up to round 6, but we got some good Mirage stuff out of that. They lost the match. It was close, though. Certainly still some positives to take away. Let's check out round 2.
Yeah, this was a pretty hype play coming in from the man that we've been hyping up a little bit on the desk, Benji Mula. Starts off pretty bad for his team, okay? They end up in an effective 2v5 with Melted being downed there. Benji really does need to make a play. He recognizes that, sees the tracers, opener for 1 through the soft wall, beauty, and then the way he follows it up, helping him out, the guy over in solar, and then this third one's probably the most impressive. Hits the reload, 1 HP, doesn't matter. Nice.
Wow, Benji, an absolute monster. For the most part, in this particular one, even sometimes dangerous to his own teammates.
Yes. Yeah, kind of
remember that one.
Kill machine. Doesn't matter who's in his crosshair. He's going to pull the trigger anytime he sees a head. And it's nice, again, to see players like Benji Mula, players like Melted, kind of coming in and having really strong stages, despite the fact that the last couple of stages, they've been really underperforming. Them now on a Mirage that really works with them has been beautiful to see.
Yeah, I mean, when Benji Mula is alive, you have no chance, is basically how I'm taking that. That's just like a play that you're not used to seeing from Benji. It's like, it reminds me of the Monstars a little bit, where, they take the talent from somebody else.
Space Jam.
I'm just looking for it's Hyper. I think Benji Mula took Hyper's talent, and now we're seeing what's going on. I mean, he's playing unbelievable. This is Reddit's public #1 enemy. He's playing unbelievable for them.
He's like, hey, Hyper, can you hold my mouse for a second? And then, that's how it happens. The skill sucked right into the mouse. Benji's like, all right, now we're going to make those flick shots. That's right.
It's all coming together.
That's right. It all makes perfect sense now here at the end of the week. Let's take a look at another round. This one's going to be round 6. Speaking about people who were kind of upping the skill level today and maybe the stage in general, Melted. Another example of that right here.
Absolutely crazy clutch coming in this round. And SSG, of course, this is a basement attack. They've got all the walls open. They've got everything you need to go for an execute, right? No smokes or anything, but they can still have these angles. Starts with a beautiful little pick right there on the faults. Very tight angle. His teammate's going to go down right afterwards. Benji about to fall here. There we go. And now this 1v2, Seth, I know you had some complaints about how this was played by SSG.
Yeah, they did this is obviously a great individual play by Melted, but just to be point blank, Rampy misplaced this. Right there, he's playing too aggressive of an angle. Bosco doesn't have an angle where he can actively cover that. Rampy could have ran all the way upstairs to the hatch. He could have backed up to the stairs, played a softer cross. When he's holding more an aggressive angle, he gets swung. Bosco can't trade that. Bosco's position is very predictable, so that's kind of an easy pre-fire for Melted. Bosco swings into the pre-fire, and that's an easy 1v2 clutch, but it comes down to Rampy just not playing positionally correct.
Yeah, there you go. So a little bit of learnings for Spacestation. I think this is one of those games where both teams obviously have a lot to learn when they go back and review this. There's a lot of definitely optimizations that could happen round to round. And for, Mirage, it's just a matter of how do we stay mentally in the game when we end up in these situations? Because it's not going to be the last time. You can't be a champion if you can't get out of those situations.